Welcome back to the kickoff. Joined once again by Antonio Mango and Ben from The Noise. Welcome back, lads.
Thanks for having us.
Bruno, it's over. The chapter is closed. I just wanted to sort of start off with that because the lasting taste in the mouths of Newcastle fans seems to be differing a lot, actually. And I'll be honest, I'd sort of made peace with this myself, but seeing him in an Arsenal shirt and seeing him saying, I'm going to give everything for Arsenal, I'm like, fuck, like, this is actually, it's hitting differently to what I expected in terms of, like, I felt nothing with Gordon, nothing with Tonali, but even with Isak, I just thought, oh, you're a prick anyway. But with Bruno, there's a level of like emotion there because of the way he romanced us, the bastard. And it feels like he's like cheating on us, seeing him in that Arsenal shirt. Are you feeling anything, or are you just completely fine with it being over?
He's already said the same line that he said for us, the wanted to go down in the club's history thing. Like, he's already said that at Arsenal.
Yeah.
And I know you're going to want to say that at every club. Why would you not? You would want to go down in the club's history, any club that you go to, but the same exact line, it just feels a bit like disingenuous. And then as well, like, yeah. And also, like, the way that he did the goodbye, like, if you've seen the goodbye video, it's very, like, robotic and scripted. It was like, dear Geordies, goodbye. Like,
yeah, he's not a good actor. He'd make a terrible YouTuber. His delivery to camera is piss poor, I have to say. And, like, I totally agree. Like, I really, God, I mean, it doesn't matter now, but if I could give advice to any fucking footballer, it would be, don't sit there with a fucking script, man. Like, if you're going to try and connect with us, then do it. Then connect with from the heart. Don't sit there and read these robotic lines when what we know you for is the emotion, and make us actually at least believe. It was a bit of a piss take for me. That did. Antonio, did you feel anything like that or not?
I couldn't agree more. I think if there's one person that doesn't need a script, it's Bruno, because everything he does is from the heart. But when all that come out in social media, I was just taken back, like, you forced this move a little bit.
100%.
I never used to be like that. I was a bit like that. And it annoyed us a little bit. I can't lie.
Yeah. Can I just say though, this whole hardest decision of your life, bro, you hired a super agent. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, that's like saying...
He was desperate. He was desperate to get out.
I didn't want to get a divorce. I hired the best lawyer money could buy. You know? What, like, this is bullshit. And that just, it turned the way I felt a little bit. Like, when Bruno maybe goes back to Brazil and plays, like, he's not in this league one day, or when he hangs up his boots, I will be able to look back on the time he had at Newcastle, I think, with fond memories. But here's my thought right now. You're the fucking enemy now. You're trying to take 3 points off of our fucking table. Do you know what I mean? Like when we play, Bruno, it's war. Like, you are trying to win a league with them. You are our enemy. That's it. For me, that's it. And what really pisses off a little bit was that I was on a bit of a high from the new manager, and then all of this shit comes all over my timeline, and it's taking me back, and I'm like, I want us to be thinking forward. Like, park this and think about our new manager and what we need to do. Fuck Bruno. Do you know what I mean?
The positive here is that he left for trophies, and we won a trophy on the day that he left. So
the Batman trophy. You wish, son. You fucking wish you could have had this.
We're winning it all now.
Yeah, it's like Michael Owen when he left Liverpool and they won the Champions League right after.
It's exactly the same.
Well, exactly. But it's identical. No, so I think, look, I just think we need to park Bruno completely and move forward. And it's nice to, at this point, it feels like the media are really like, I can't look anywhere without them looking down on us. And the one thing that did make us laugh, just to highlight, Kieran Trippier saying, when someone said, he wanted off, and he was like, I wanted to stay. I didn't hire no fucking super agent. But aside from him saying that, everyone's predicting us for relegation. Everyone's saying we are dead, essentially, as a club. The project's dead. So for us to get a win, even though it was a friendly, against a very credible club in Valencia, with a new manager's first game in charge, and to play all these young players and have a different feel altogether. How great was that, lads?
First pre-season win in front of fans since 2024 or something.
Yeah.
I've seen it on social media, which is crazy. So I think psychologically that win was absolutely massive. Now it's only pre-season. We're playing against 10 men, but just the win psychologically for the group, I think, is massive.
Mate, we lost 4-1 to Bristol in our last fucking game.
I forgot about that. I've erased that from my memory.
And just to go into the game a bit, like when they scored their first goal, and all we've been seeing is videos of Jaissle fucking saying, fucking close down, get the foot in and stop the shot, and then they get a free shot in the top corner. I'm like, well, this hasn't they're not listening. And on the touchline, the guy is energetic. He's barking at the
running
players.
Down the wing.
Yeah. He was right wing, essentially. And it just felt different, didn't it? What did you make of his first game, just as a managing performance?
Yep.
Like, what changes do you think he was able to bring to the table in a really short space of time?
In terms of the tactics, you could see a clear identity. Everybody understood their roles and responsibilities, whereas against Bristol, it didn't feel like that. We were pressing aggressively, but it wasn't just individually. We're all pressing his numbers. Everybody knew their responsibilities, what they were trying to do. And again, it's pre-season. Not everything came off, but you could see that there was a game plan on and off the ball. And I think that's important for players as well, because when they feel that structure, it makes them feel a little bit more important and take a little bit more responsibility in what they're doing. And I think that was the key thing out of anything, was the energy and a bit more tactical discipline, let's say.
Yeah, and on the ball, sorry mate, on the ball, the forward passing, we knew this was going to come, but it happened a lot quicker than what I was expecting them to adopt it. They were really clearly been drilled into them, and from what I understand, he kind of punishes you in training if you don't make forward passes after a certain point on the pitch, and that was a nice thing for me to see.
I think I really loved seeing just play down the centre, because I think under Eddie Howe, it always just went down, out to the wings and then just crossed in. It was just that rinse and repeat. And there was so much play down, these intricate 1-2s and stuff. And I think a lot of people are talking about Alanga, he did look good, Torre, but I think Harvey Barnes will do really well, because that's his game down to a T, is them little 1-2s, like pass and move 1-2s. And I'm seeing not just in the game yesterday, but also in videos that I've seen of Jaissle's play, Jaissle's teams Al Ali, there was loads of this 1-2 style play, this pass and move 1-2, and that is, it's just Harvey Barnes down to a T. Is that he can't beat his man with pace or skill really, but he just uses that 1-2 pass and move.
I am a bit worried about Harvey Barnes at the moment, but we'll come on to that in a minute. But I think the bravery down the middle of the park is something that Eddie really he never showed that level of bravery or belief in his players, and it was I always felt that we were quite cowardly, and it is just nice to see, even in a team that isn't anywhere near the finished article and is still lacking a lot of signings, and on tired legs. He said afterwards, we've been doing double fucking sessions. We're in 30-degree heat here. And I think that's why, as much as I'm delighted he won his first game, I'm also not going to hammer anyone too badly, because these boys have had a few weeks off. They're a new manager and they're getting beasted. And he's I wasn't expecting them to look 1,000,000%, any of them. And it's nice that some of them did surprise us. And look, just to cover what happened in the game, obviously their first goal went in, but we didn't crumble like we always did under Eddie. We came back, regrouped, and it was like nothing even happened. We actually came straight back into the game. There was a goal disallowed for Alanga, which I thought probably should have been onside. And we have to talk about the horror tackle that was put in by Gaia on Alanga. For a pre-season friendly, that was mental. I've never seen anything like that in a pre-season friendly. What about you, lads?
Absolutely criminal. Especially when it's this early in a pre-season. There's kind of an unwritten rule that you don't go diving in. It's more about getting distances, just getting your match sharpness. But I had no idea what was going through his head, because it was brutal.
That tackle would have been criminal, not in a pre-season.
Yeah. Exactly.
Never mind in a pre-season game.
Jaissle went mental, straight away to the official. All the lads jump off the bench, and it felt like he was leading the outrage, and I'm
it's good to see a manager fighting like that.
Yeah,
fighting for the lads.
He's not letting Mad Dog do his dirty work for him. He's I am the leader of this team, and I just like to say that. And obviously they had a player sent off, which did work to our advantage, but then we did have to bring Jacob Murphy on, so swings and roundabouts. Fuck me, lads. Look, I want to talk just to throw a few players. I want to bring up a point that I kind of dawned on me throughout the game that I think is going to help us this season, because if there's one thing that was clear about last season was there was a huge level of complacency in the side, and I think part of that was down to Eddie having his favourites. And when I look at this side right now, there's competition for places everywhere. I don't think he's going to be like Eddie and let people just get away with piss poor performances. And I think there's only like maybe the keeper, Lewis Hall and Malik Chow, who are guaranteed starters in this team. I think that's a good thing.
If Malik Chow falls off a bit, if he goes through a bad spell, Fabian Schär can step in.
Fair, even then, potentially. So it's not like you can just take the piss anymore, and I think that's going to help us. In terms of players who impressed, lads, obviously, Wissa got 2 goals, so we'll start with him. That was a relief for me, because I kind of had given up on him, and he does look like a different player right now. What do you reckon?
In that game, at least, he looks like the player that he was at Brentford. Because at Brentford, I don't want to gas him up too much, but I haven't seen like many strikers with the ability to be in the right place in the right time that he has. Like, he is incredible at that. Like, he has his weaknesses, but that is one thing that he is spot on at.
And what he does cleverly is when the ball gets into a certain zone, so like in the final third, he doesn't get involved in the play. He's just like, right, I'm going to get myself into a good position and I'm going to try and score a goal. He looks a lot sharper as well. I think it looks like he's getting a good pre-season under him. He looked decent in the World Cup. So hopefully we've got a different style of Yohan Wissa. And what you were saying about competition for places, now William Masula thinks, hold on, he's just come on and scored 2. I might lose my place here, so that steps up William Masula's game.
Did you hear Wissa's interview afterwards?
I didn't know.
New manager, new Wissa.
He actually says, I'm not looking in the past. And I think there's been something said in the training ground about we're not looking backwards. We're not good. And I'm like,
apparently talk's been banned. Like, it's been banned talking about anything from the previous.
Do you know, we spent an entire season, lads. We spent an entire season with Eddie Howe clearly instructing his mates in the media to blame everything on Alexander Isak, going as if that's a viable excuse. I hated our victim mentality last season. It was so weak.
Gets me on my next point. If you go back and watch Matthias Jaissle's first interview when he was sitting in the bar area, somebody mentions like losing experienced players. And the first answer he gave was, I'm not using that as an excuse. And I just thought that's brilliant. Like, it
honestly,
he went, I'm not using that as an excuse. We've got to work hard and do better.
I remember being 9 months into last season and Eddie going, bloody Isak leaving though, innit?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
It drove me crazy, man.
A breath of fresh air. Honestly, he warmed to his air because I just thought that's brilliant.
And it makes sense why the owners apparently have said to the media, look, when we interviewed all these people and we went through 170 odd people, when we interviewed Jaissle, we basically didn't want him to leave the office. We wanted him to sign a contract right there and then, because we were so sure he was better than everyone that we had considered. We can't predict the future, but he does have something about him. I think we've all noticed that. And it's a breath of fresh air. Another player, by the way, while we're on the players who shine, Torre, we looked at the data on him before he's seeing him in a Newcastle shirt and was impressive. And like, I actually think, if we look at Anthony Gordon, open play last season, I think it was 3 goals, 2 assists. I think Torre will blow that away in the Premier League.
Hard, like.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But the guy's just gone for 70 odd million to Barcelona. Yeah. So like, really, if you didn't know that that's how piss poor Gordon was in the league, you'd be like, to beat Anthony...
In terms of replacing his output, like...
Exactly.
Yeah.
But when people are saying to us, you're going to get relegated, you've lost Anthony Gordon, I'm like, he's easy replaced, to be honest. I'm not actually worried about that. Do you know what I mean? And what we've seen from him, when he combined really well with Wissa for the goal, but the thing that impressed me more was the one that didn't go in, was that getting down the byline, whipping that lovely cross into the back post for Jacob Murphy, who, how he's the bane of my life, this guy, right? I don't know how he's still in the Newcastle shirt, Christ. And he skies it, which I'm like, it would have been so much easier to score, but he gave me a lot of excitement for next season. And like you say, with Harvey Barnes positions. They offer completely different things. One player who impressed us boys, who has been impressing, and I actually, when I watched Sean Sturr before he first signed, as he first signed, I was on a Newcastle podcast and I was like, better than Joe Linton him. I'm telling you now, right? This kid, better. I'm telling you now, I've watched him for Ajax. He is better than Joe Linton. And in back of my head, I was like, are you sure? Like, he's 18 years old. Like, but what I was seeing, I was like, this kid's a fucking baller. Do you know what I mean? There's no way he's not better than Joe Linton. And this kid is ready. But when you say things and you watch these YouTube highlight compilations, you're like, I've been fooled before, right? Yeah. But I was so convinced of it because he's the most un-Eddie Howe like player we've ever signed. And that should have given us the clue that Eddie was on his way out, to be fair. But since he's been playing in Newcastle shirt in every game against low opposition, he's looked the part. This time it was a step up in competition against Valencia, and again just comes on, runs the game. 18 years old, running the game, and I'm just thinking you can be whatever you want to be if you're willing to work hard enough for it. You've got the talent, and I think this is going to be one of the best signings we've made in the post-Saudi era.
How long do you think we can hold on to him? Because
he's 18, I think we've got a good chance of giving it a few years. Because I think what we can do is put him through a complete and utter. He's already done his apprenticeship at Ajax. You can see that's why he's dictating to players who are 5 years older than him, telling them what to fucking do. He knows how good he is. And actually, I searched for him to follow him, and on Instagram, and when you search for him, there's videos of him on training grounds, fucking 13 years old, playing fucking like tiki-taka style football. Like, this kid's a prodigy, and they've known he was a prodigy in the Dutch world for a long, long time. So he's made for this. He has literally been built from the ground up to be this kind of player. I guess my question is, like, how long can we not start him? Because I get he's not going to be like heavyweight Premier League footballer built like strength wise, but everything else, for me, he's a cut above most of the players we've fucking got. So, how long can you hold them back? Really is my question, lads.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's the alternative, really?
Exactly.
Who is the actual alternative?
I think he's going to play his way in the team. I think he's going to leave the manager with no option to say you're going to have to play us, because he brings something different that we don't have in our squad. That profile just to dictate, and every time he gets the ball, it's one touch. Can I play forwards? Every time. And if he can't, he keeps it. Just that awareness, intelligent. And do you know what I like about him the most? It's probably what he does for his mentality, because he's always showing for the ball. Just watch him. Even when he doesn't get it, he's asking for it. No matter how many players are around him, he's asking for the ball. Just being an option.
Do you want to know something funny, lads? Do you want to know something funny?
What's that?
We've sold a player for 100 million quid who's not as good on the ball as this fucker, and he's 18 years old. There's no way Tonali on the ball can hold a candle to this young lad. Their world support? It's fucking mental. We've just sold him for 100 million. Like, and do you know what? I can't wait to see, I want to see Lewis Miley and Sturr maybe as the eights. And I think we're going to get a midfield general behind them, or Bambara or whoever. But to see Miley, because Miley can make a game tick as well. Miley's keen for the ball as well. To see them together as two young, future stars, who probably could play. I think these two could play in a fucking Champions League final one day.
Maybe 20, 30 years on.
Yeah.
But genuinely, I can't wait to see what they look like together. I just hope that that it all goes in the right direction for them. Let's talk about, players who have been criticised. Nick Voltemade. Again, I'm not going to go as hard on him, probably because I love the guy, but also double sessions, that kind of heat. I think there's a reason why technically he looked off that day, because it's his first game back, and there's a whole bunch of reasons. But my question is more about positionally. Is he a number 10? Or because for me, when I've watched him for Stuttgart, I always felt like he played better the 9 with the supporting cast around him, who were, like you say, like a Harvey Barnes, tucked in, which never happened last season, to support him, rather than because the further away from goal he is, you're taking away his finishing, which I think is the best part of his game. Yes, he's a nice passer of the ball, and you're giving him much further to run, which isn't his best attribute, to get near the goal and giving him less chances to shoot. So, but then if you do take him out of the 10 and put him as a 9, you're then sacrificing a Wissa or an Asula, who both look pretty good lately. So what the fuck do we do with him?
I don't know. I've seen, apparently, I don't know if this is necessarily true. I just saw it today that apparently Jaissle has said that he sees him as a 10, which...
That might change.
Hopefully.
Which is interesting because Eddie Howe, when he first come, Eddie Howe said, I don't see him as a 10 and I see him as a 9. So it's interesting, the difference.
I mean, his best period for Newcastle, I don't think this is up for debate, was as a 9. And yet, since that point, and this is what I'm surprised by, we've never ever done it again. But look, he got hammered. I thought it was justified. But for me, I'm not sure he is a 10. And actually, I feel like we should buy a proper 10, like an out-and-out 10, not someone who we're sort of shoehorning and maybe he's a 10. I'm like, I think that's something that we need to do for creativity to replace what Bruno brought in the goals and assists. But what did you make of the centre midfield pairing, boys, Bamba and Ramsey?
I think Bamba's probably the most divisive performance I've seen, like, across the whole fan base, because, like, he objectively, I don't think he had a good game. But I'm also looking at it as he's like 20 years old. He's just come to a new league. And I think he just looked nervous. Like, he looked like he was trying too hard.
He wasn't great, but I don't mind what I've seen. If I was...
What did you think was okay specifically?
Taking responsibility. That's the type of thing you look for when you bring in these players, because you know that the technical ability will come. It's about his attitude more than anything. And I liked how he took responsibility. He was moving away from the press. He got himself out of difficult situations at points. He wasn't great, don't get us wrong. I'm not saying he was brilliant, because there was some things that I didn't like as well. And I felt like he was choosing the safer option rather than the right option. So can you punch the ball forwards? And he wasn't brave enough to do it. And he was moving the ball sideways or back to the goalkeeper, when maybe when Sean Sturr come on, we'll start moving the ball a bit quicker into the final third, into advanced areas. And he needs to have that sort of mentality. But in terms of taking responsibility, not shying away, always being an option for a man in possession, I like that kind of stuff. Once he starts feeling a little bit more natural, starts understanding like the patterns of tactical work, what Jaissle wants, he will start moving the ball a bit quicker.
What about the transfer market then? Obviously, we're learning about the players we've got. We're learning what we're missing. We already know we're missing a centre midfielder. Potentially, we could be getting rid of Murphy and Willock. God, I hope so. And Nick Pope's going, so that's good. But we do, apparently we've got 3 or 4 players coming in. They're looking for a midfield general. I think that's clear that they're wanting someone who can take responsibility, been there, done it, can lead from the midfield. Obviously, there's 2 main players who are linked with. Who was the other one again?
Højbjerg and Palhinha.
Palhinha, yeah. Who would you prefer out of those 2 lads?
Højbjerg, I think, just because I've seen some, like, when Højbjerg was first leaked as like a potential, I wasn't particularly overwhelmed by it, but then I've seen a load of, the stat profiles, the stat wheel things, and he kind of is better than Bruno and Tonali. If you look
what
at
we need him to be good at, specifically, yeah.
I think Højbjerg gives you more in possession as well than what Palhinha does. Because, again, I was looking at some data from the whole of the French league last season. He completed the second most passes. He made the second most passes. So he was getting involved in the play a lot, whereas you don't get that sort of output from Palhinha. So I think the difference is Højbjerg's a little bit better in possession, which adds a little bit extra quality to what we need.
I seen the clip of him as well, being very like kicking off in the changing rooms, and I was like, oh, I like that. Like, I want someone, especially with a bunch of young lads. Like, you need some men in there. We've lost Trippier, we've lost Bruno. You need voices and stand up and be counted and set standards as well. And I think that must be why we're looking at him.
I think for me as well, also because he's going to come pretty cheap in because of his age.
Yeah,
I think. We only probably have, from what I've heard, about £150 million budget for them 4 players. If you, like, generally, your attacking players, they do cost more, generally. Mm-hmm. If you can only spend 10, 15 million to kind of fix that problem for the next 2 or 3 years, and then you throw 60, 70 maybe on the 10, like that's where I'd want to see. That's what I'd want to see happen. Because I think what we've also said as well is to replace Bruno. The plan is to not try and replace him with 1 player, but to try and replace him with 2, which is also something that I've kind of wanted to see for a while. Not have someone trying to defend and create everything, but have someone just set in a role of like playing like a Rodri role, for example, someone who is there just to protect the back line. And
I love that. Defined roles. That's what we didn't have under Eddie Howe in that midfield. And that's why so often we had what we called the Eddie space in between the midfield. And imagine that we had a manager who we had a nickname for the space that every fucking team exploited against us. Named specifically after him because he never had a holding midfielder. It was like, well, just whoever's closest run there. And I think that is like, we need a proper 6, and someone who that's all they have to worry about. And then you get the ball and play it onto the players who can do the damage. And that's why I completely agree. Spending a big chunk on the 10, on the right winger, on the players that can do the damage. And a fucking fullback, which, God, I haven't even heard a name. I haven't even heard a fucking name of a fullback. But heavily, like there's names to get thrown around by people who've got no credibility, but there's no real links there. And even for the 10, I guess it's the young lad is it Sociedad lad who played for him before, right?
Sukic, I think.
Yeah, that's right. I think he's kind of the earmark for that. And then you've got the lad who we discussed last time from Feyenoord, which seems to have gone quiet. I feel like my main thing right now, lads, is it's been a while since we last signed a player. And I'm like, there's some fucking urgency needed here. Like, what?
See, I think there's potentially a level here of, because I think I've heard a lot of that says we're going to have these players signed before the Liverpool game. I think Jaissle might be potentially holding out here to see what the Premier League is actually like, because you can only get so much from pre-season games. Yeah. I think he might realize, like, you don't want to spend all this money and then have none left when the Premier League starts and be like, fuck, my problem is actually that. Do you see what I mean?
This is why I'm kind of glad that Jacob Murphy missed a sitter and then tripped over doing a back heel, because I'm like, what I don't want is for him to have a worldie and then him go, brilliant, problem solved. Yeah. That would be terrible. We can't afford that right now.
I do actually think we'll bring in an anchor number 6, and I do think there'll be someone with experience. I can just guide the players on the pitch, and for 15 million, when you think about it that way, considering the amount of work we need doing, I could see something like that actually happening before the Liverpool game. But I think you're right in what you say, Ben.
I think that'll happen before the Liverpool game. Yeah.
In terms of like the other areas and just testing what he needs, because he's already said he's going to give everybody a chance. But how much of a chance he gives them, then...
I really hope Ross Wilson's like clued him up a bit instead of having to figure this up. Like, I hope he's been watching I hope he watched every fucking game of last season as much as he can. Like, do you know what I mean? Because we've got more than enough data. We don't need to say any more of some of these players. Do you know what I mean? Joe Linton, obviously he's on a big wedge. Surely we should be palming him off to Saudi if he wants to get himself away. Like, get that deal done under the table.
Especially with him, he's 30 this month as well. So if you're ever going to get any money from him, it's probably now. But
I can't imagine his head's going to be like 2 in it anymore either with Bruno leaving. They were like best mates, weren't they?
100%. That for me is one of the main reasons he's gone to them and went, I'm off, me, fuck this, because Bruno was his brother, basically. And fair enough, but we're seeing Saudis splashing the cash on bloody West Ham players for fucking 80 million euros. Surely we can get 50 million euros for Joe Linton.
We'd have some PSR problems with that, though. It'd be like some associated party crap or something like that.
Well, look, we've got a game in a few days against, it's Everton, isn't it? So we'll see how we'll get on. Hopefully we'll have some more positive news the next time we do one of these. As always, thanks a lot for the chat, boys. I'll put your channels in the description below. Make sure you go and subscribe to these lads for the best breakdowns in the football YouTube space. Hit the like button, subscribe. We'll see you on the next one.